And a very happy day, ladies and gentlemen. Tim Burgess with Maximizing Results and our wonderful book, Think and Grow Rich. And today I want to talk about the chapter on desire again. Let's call this part 2. Yesterday's video, or the last video that we did, we talked about the very basics, the very basic working principles of the human mind. Thoughts cause a feeling. Feeling is expressed in actions. Actions produce results. Now, in the conscious mind right here, nobody can force you to think something that you don't want to think. It's impossible. And if you stop and think about that for a moment, you realize how true that is. However, most people allow other people to think for them. In other words, they let outside circumstances create the feeling. You've all said this or heard this. Oh, they make me so mad. Oh, that traffic just pissed me off. I mean, we hear these things, and that means that somebody else controlled our feelings. And what kind of an action did we take based on that? So we talked about that. We talked about this guy named Edwin Barnes, and I know nobody knows Edwin, nobody really cares, but what he did and what he pulled off is what we want to talk about. How he became the business associate of the great inventor, Thomas Edison. Now, if you didn't meet Thomas Edison, and I didn't either, but every time I walk in this particular room, I walk over, I flip that switch, these lights all come on, reminds me of this guy and what he went through to pull off what he wanted to pull off. What was his real desire? And he says, he starts this chapter when Edwin Barnes, when he got off the freight train, he may have resembled a tramp, but his thoughts were those of a king. So what was the most important thing? His thoughts or the way he looked? And obviously now we know what was the most important thing. And he went to the Edison labs and he demanded that he become the business associate of the great inventor, and they handed him a broom and he got to sweep the floor. And, when time went on for if you remember from yesterday or whenever you watch that video, time went on for about 5 years, nothing really happened. But in his own mind, he was the business associate every day that he was there. And what he really did, most people won't do. If you remember, Napoleon says he burned every bridge behind him. He says that is all there is to the Barnes story of success. He left himself no possible way of retreat. He had to win or perish. And most people are afraid to do that. I grew up, I was taught you never burn a bridge, Kim. Never burn a bridge. I meet a very, 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 very wealthy man, over $150 million in net worth, and he's teaching me burn every bridge behind you. They're probably holding you back. I didn't say burn the bridge to relationships. What he was talking about, don't allow myself to retreat. And the only thing I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, is every time I've done that, it has worked out so well. It truly has. I mean, I burned a bridge from the J.O.B. into real estate. And when I became a real estate agent, I listed 17 houses my first full-time month, sold 92 houses my first full-time year, increased my income 600+%. I had never earned that much money. And in just a couple of years, we actually tripled that income, doing it in half of the time by utilizing and exercising more of the principles in this book. So all I can say is every time I've burned a bridge, it's worked out very, very, very well. And I would encourage you to do that. And once again, we're not talking about burning bridges to relationships or to other people or things like that. But what we're talking about is leave yourself no opportunity for retreat. Get rid of the safety net. If what you're doing and what you want to do is worthy and has the noble cause, then do it. I know that fear thing comes up. We'll get to that in the very last chapter. But anyway, Napoleon, remember, he says every person who wins in any undertaking must be willing to burn his ships and cut all sources of retreat. Only by so doing can one be sure of maintaining that state of mind known as a burning desire to win, which is essential to success. And then he talks about there was this great Chicago fire. Now, most of us don't know about this Chicago fire, so let's just go with the story. So there's this great Chicago fire, and all of the merchants lost the buildings. Their buildings burned to the ground. And the merchants stood on the street looking at the smoking remains of what had been their stores. And they went into a conference to decide if they would try to rebuild or just leave Chicago and start over in a much more promising section of the country. As if Chicago wasn't booming enough, I guess, I don't know. And they reached a decision, all except one, to leave. And the merchant who decided to stay and rebuild pointed a finger at the remains of his store and said, "Gentlemen, on that spot right there, that very spot, I will build the world's greatest store, no matter how many times it may burn down." At the writing of this, 1937, remember, kind of a couple days ago, right? At the time of this writing, that was more than 50 years prior. At the time of the writing, that store was still standing there. A lot of you may know this name, Marshall Field department stores. There are still some around, even today, in today's world. See, the easy thing for him to have done would have been exactly what the fellow merchants did. When the going was hard and the future looked dismal, they pulled up and went where it seemed easier. Napoleon says, "Mark well this difference between Marshall Field and the other merchants, because it is the same difference which distinguishes this guy named Barnes from thousands of other young men who have worked in the Edison organization. It's the same difference which distinguishes practically all who succeed from those who fail." You see, why is it that Barnes could go into the Edison labs and he had a job sweeping of the floors, but when he saw his opportunity, he took the initiative. He had the ambition to do something with it. But all the other people were just standing around and probably complaining about, "They need to pay me more. I'll do more when they pay me more." Where do you get that attitude? Where'd that come from? It doesn't work. See, everybody in the Edison organization had the same opportunity that Barnes did. Everybody in the organization that you're working for right now has the same opportunity to grow, become wealthy in all areas of life. And if you decide to grow and the organization you're with doesn't recognize the growth, then don't worry, there'll be an organization that does. There sure will be. So every human being, Napoleon continuing, every human being who reaches the age of understanding of the purpose of money wishes for it. Wishing will not bring riches, but desiring riches with the state of mind that becomes an obsession, then planning definite ways and means to acquire riches and backing those plans with persistence which does not recognize failure, that will bring riches. Now, the method by which desire for riches can be transmuted into its financial equivalent consists of 6 definite practical steps. Just 6 steps. And I can tell you, as we go through these in a moment, that these 6 steps are as easy as the steps on the back of a cake box or a brownie box or a making the pancakes box. Now, my bet is if you were to go to the store and you wanted to bake a cake, you've got a birthday party you need to bake a cake for, you would follow the instructions on the back of the box. If it said put the oven at 350, you would not put it at 450 or 250. If it said add 1 egg, you would not add 3, and you would not just say to heck with it, I'm not going to put an egg in it. If it said a 1/4 cup of oil, let's say, you wouldn't decide to put a 1/2 cup in. Or you would say, wait a minute, a 1/4 cup's not enough. That's way too much. Let's do an 1/8. You wouldn't do that. You would follow those instructions pretty much as they are written, and you would get the result that you wanted. Napoleon Hill is giving us 6 definite practical steps. Now, I know that you're intelligent enough to follow the steps on the back of this cake box. Will you please follow the instructions here, because it can have a dramatic impact to the positive on your life. Or don't do them and kind of same old, it's your choice. Step 1, fix in your mind the exact amount of money you desire. Exact. It is not sufficient merely to say, I want plenty of money. What is plenty? What does that mean? Be definite as to the amount. Napoleon says there is a psychological reason for definiteness, which will be described in a subsequent chapter. So how much do you really want? How much do you really want? And if you don't know, stretch yourself a little bit, but write it down. Step 1. Step 2, determine exactly what you intend to give in return for the money you desire. What are you giving in return? for what you desire. And right now, your mind might be going blank. What the heck do I have to give in return for what I desire? I don't know. Henry Ford had absolutely nothing to give in return for what he wanted except thoughts. And then he created the plans. And then he found people to work with him. But in the beginning, he had nothing. He had absolutely nothing. Step 3, establish a definite date when you intend to possess that money. And if it's not money you want to put through the 6 steps, ladies and gentlemen, you can do these 6 steps for anything. You can do the 6 steps for the health of your physical being, a certain weight that you might want to acquire. You can use the 6 steps for anything, doesn't matter. So establish a definite date. Step 4, this is where it starts to get fun. Create a definite plan for carrying out your desire and begin at once whether you're ready or not to put this plan into action. Begin at once whether you're ready or not. Well, I don't have the perfect plan. Let me see about this. Let me see about that. Let me see about this. Let me see about this. Let me see about that. I don't know about this. Who knows about that? So I'll just wait. That doesn't work very well. Begin at once whether you're ready or not. We're here now whether I'm ready or not. Whether we have all of the pieces of the puzzle perfectly in place or not, I don't care anymore. We're doing this. Why? Because we feel that this can absolutely help people all around the world gain a better understanding of Think and Grow Rich so they can implement it. Because without the understanding, the implementation won't take place. So we're taking action, whether I'm ready or not. I'm finally doing it. It only took 26 years to get me here. No, I've done it before, but anyway. Create a definite plan. Step 5. Now here's where it gets a little more fun. Write out a clear, concise statement. A clear, concise statement of the amount of money you want to acquire. Name the time limit for its acquisition. State what you intend to give in return for the money, and describe clearly the plan through which you intend to accumulate it. So basically, write a clear, concise statement of steps 1 through 4. This is not difficult, ladies and gentlemen. It's a 3rd grade elementary, simple. Our grandson, 7 years old, sitting out in the other room. He can do this. He's not 7 yet. He'll be 7 in a couple of months. He's 6 years old. He can do this. And then step 6, read your written statement out loud. Read your written statement out loud. He says aloud. Twice daily, once just before retiring at night and once after arising in the morning. As you read, see and feel and believe yourself already in possession of the money. See and feel and believe yourself already in possession of it. Now, when I was growing up, I heard the expression, oh, you got to see it to believe it. That's backwards. That's absolutely backwards. If we don't believe it first, we'll never see it. And it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter. You believe first. Napoleon says, it is important that you follow the instructions described in these 6 steps. It is especially important that you observe and follow the instructions in the 6th paragraph. He says, you may complain that it is impossible for you to see yourself in possession of money before you actually have it. Here is where a burning desire will come to your aid. If you truly desire, if you truly desire money so keenly, if you truly desire it so keenly that your desire is an obsession, you will have no difficulty in convincing yourself that you will acquire it. The object is to want money and to become so determined to have it that you convince yourself you will have it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, there's nothing wrong with wanting money. There's nothing wrong with wanting more money. I know in this big book called the Bible, people confuse it all the time and they say, well, money is the root of all evil. No, it's not. And by the way, the book says the love of money is the root of all evil. If I put the love of money before I put the love of my family, I'm warped. I got issues. If I put money before I put my own health, I've got issues. We want money to be kept in its place. But make no mistake, money is a very important part of true, complete wealth. But it's only a part of it. And really, it's not the most important part because you can have all the money on the planet if you want, but if you don't have your physical health or peace of mind, what do you have? What good's all the money? Only those who become money conscious ever accumulate great riches. Money consciousness means that the mind has become so thoroughly saturated with the desire for money that one can see oneself already in possession of it. In other words, you can see yourself already living that life. You can see it. Remember how we talked yesterday about clarity in the mind? We think in pictures. How important is that right now? And then he says this, to the uninitiated who has not been schooled in the working principles of the human mind. You do not have that excuse anymore. If you're not initiated in the working principles of the human mind, please watch Desire Part 1. Desire Part 1. And it'll truly expose it to you. It's so simple. It's so basic. Who has not been schooled in the working principles of the human mind. These instructions may appear impractical. It may be helpful to all who recognize the soundness of the 6 steps to know that the information they convey was received from Andrew Carnegie, who began as an ordinary laborer in the steel mills, but managed, despite his humble beginning, to make these principles yield him a fortune of considerably more than $100 million. $100 million in the late 1800s, early 1900s. How much was that today? It's a lot. It's a lot more than any of the wealth that we're aware of today, as far as the big boys that are wealthy, the Bezos, Kevin O'Leary's, Damon Johns, Barbara Corcoran's, Bill Gates. You know these names. The Apple guy. My wife says Steve Jobs. His name was escaping me. Excuse me. Those fortunes that those guys have accumulated are very small potatoes compared to what Carnegie did. Very small potatoes. Okay. That doesn't mean that they haven't done great things. Don't take that the wrong way. Okay. He says it may be of further help to know that the 6 steps here recommended were carefully scrutinized by Thomas Edison, who placed a stamp of approval on them as them being not only the steps essential for the accumulation of money, but necessary for the attainment of any definite goal. Well, if Edison's correct, and remember, Edison's the guy that made it so you can go over there and flip that switch and boom, the lights come on. If Edison's correct, that means that any goal you have ever accumulated, you put through this 6-step process, whether you know it or not. Whether you're fully aware of it or not, you still did it. Oh, really? What he's saying. Now, this next part, ladies and gentlemen, is the part that kept me in the book. The steps call for no hard labor. They call for no sacrifice. They do not require one to become ridiculous or credulous, and to apply them calls for no great amount of education. I quit school in the 8th grade. I read this and went, I can do this. No hard labor, no sacrifice. I don't have to be ridiculous or credulous, and I don't have to have a great amount of education. I can do this. But the successful application of these 6 steps does call for sufficient imagination to enable one to see and to understand that accumulation of money cannot be left to chance, good fortune, or luck. One must realize that all who have accumulated great fortunes first did a certain amount of dreaming, hoping, wishing, desiring, and planning before they acquired money. He says you may as well know right here that you can never have riches in great quantities unless you can work yourself into a white heat of desire for money and actually believe that you will possess it. Ladies and gentlemen, that 6 steps is absolutely, in my opinion, one of the most important things you're going to find in this book. It is so simple to do, but it is also so simple to not do. It is so simple to not do. But we want to get in the habit of doing it. I apologize. That's Roscoe over there talking to us about something. But the 6 steps, I'm going to encourage you to do them right now. Get out a piece of paper and a pen. They don't have to be perfect. Get out one of these things and write down, how much do I want? What am I giving in return for it? What's the date? Step 4, start to create a definite plan and begin it once, whether you're ready or not. Step 5, put it all in writing. That's what we're doing. Put it in writing and then read it out loud. As you read it out loud every morning and every night, ladies and gentlemen, what will happen is you'll make little edits. And it will become more you as you engage in the activity. But it's up to you to engage in the activity. Napoleon Hill has given us the instructions. They're so basic, elementary, simple, anybody can do them. But we have to do them. And ladies and gentlemen, I encourage you to do that. And do me a favor, hit the subscribe button and the notification button. We're just getting started in this book. We're just getting going. There's a lot left in this chapter on desire. There'll be a part 3. So hit the notification button, hit the subscribe button. Do me a favor, share this with all of your friends and family. They need this material to help them live a more fulfilled life. So hit the buttons, like, subscribe, share, go out to Facebook, leave us a comment. Leave us a comment right here. Go ahead, leave us a comment. If you like what we're doing, tell us. If you don't like what we're doing, tell us. Either way. And we greatly appreciate you being here. First, as we go to leave, that'd be remiss if I didn't say thank you to Joe. Joe, thank you, my friend. And please, everybody, say thank you to Joe. Thank you, Joe. Everybody saying thank you. Also, as you know, if you've been following us at all, then my greatest desire is that this day be the very best day that you have ever experienced in this game we call life. Yesterday doesn't matter. Tomorrow isn't here. But today we can have a great day. Tonight, when you put your head on a pillow, please do so with a mind full of peace. Remember, calmness of mind is one of the beautiful jewels of wisdom. And may God bless each and every one of you. Have a fabulous day.